Hey, there we go. We're back. We are back, dude. Let's freaking go. We have a super special guest on today, Mr. Matt Sponhour. I just want to say that is such a sports talk guy last name. Sponhour is such a perfect.
It is
Guy who talks.
I appreciate
sports.
it. That's a very nice compliment.
You're welcome. That's the first thing I ever noticed when I started watching Stay Hot. I was like, Sponhour is. It's been
an incredibly convenient last name. I can just be Sponhour on most social media straight up,
Yes,
which is pretty dang good to just get your last name. But my co-host on the podcast that I do, his name is Bladen. He's just at Bladen. First name on some stuff.
It's tough.
You guys, all three of you have cool names. Theo Ash.
Yeah, Theo is
also
Ash.
a cool sports.
And he's a tough dude, so it works perfectly.
So tough. He's so tough. If you're listening right now, please go check out Matt, his stuff on TikTok and Instagram. Check out Stay Hot Pod. You can find Matt at Sponhour, as he just said. Today, mostly hoops talk today, as the NFL is kind of wrapped here. We're going to talk All-Star Weekend reactions. We're going to talk tanking. We're going to a little tank talk. And then we got deadline moves. We'll see. We'll get Matt's take on these deadline moves. And then just some last half of the NBA season predictions. And then obviously whatever other shenanigans we get up to.
We keep it loose.
Dude,
we've been on a riff off lately.
Dude,
we've been like
last ep
some riffsters.
Last ep was like purely riff. We
All
went
time
into that
episode. Yeah.
We went into that episode with, I think, one topic, and we were just like, fuck it, let's just send it. Let's just do whatever.
And it was great. It was fun.
We were like, before, we were like, I don't know if we'll be able to get an hour and a half on this episode. And we were like, I think we went like 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah, 2 and some change. I could have gone for more.
Surprised, how long you can go if you really hit on something for sure.
100%.
We just started talking about where did we get to? I know we ended up somewhere talking about like the James Harden move.
We went down all sorts of different avenues, and then
we ended up at like which vibe is the hardest. Yeah.
We gave our like sandwich rank. We got like our Mount Rushmore of sandwiches.
We got there somehow.
We were all over the place.
Would you guys have your one? I won't make you go through the whole.
Well, Connor made fun of me because I like Subway. Like just Subway. I'm like, I don't see the difference between like Subway and Jersey Mike's. And Connor's is sandwich elitist, and he's like, Jersey Mike's is way better for you than Subway is.
Jersey Mike's is better, but I really don't think Subway is that crazy. I was tempted by Subway today. I didn't go for it because I'm 24, but I've been hitting Jimmy John's because that's walkable from my place.
I have a Jimmy John's real close by. I'm a rewards member now.
You would be a rewards member.
I got a free Sammy.
Jimmy John's, you nerd.
Dude. I've been at the point where I've got enough and I should be, and I'm still not. Except the last time I went there, they hit me basically with like back again, and I haven't gone back since.
That's tough.
I'm done there.
No,
I'm not a regular at Jimmy John's. That can't be. So
I gotta find a new spot. I just want to say, Nick, that both of the Stay Hot members we've had on so far have immediately agreed with me in my takes. I just want to note that the guys.
Do you want to talk about? Excuse me, worst Super Bowl MVP of all time? Do we want to go back there? Connor was notoriously a big Drake May MVP. That's his MVP. He sides with Robert Kraft on most things, political and life in general. And he was like Drake May. And I just asked Theo, I said, when Drake May wins the MVP, will he be the worst MVP of all time? And he was like, yeah.
No, he didn't.
Okay, well.
That wasn't his response.
Well, what's the clip, dude?
He didn't say that at all. All right. Anyway, we had an interesting All-Star weekend. I actually thought the All-Star game was fun. I actually thought that they, to some capacity, I wouldn't say it's fixed, but they made it more interesting than it has been in previous years. Matt, I'm interested in your take on that.
It's hard to know because remember back like the first year they did the Elam ending, which is where they just had like 3 quarters and then the fourth quarter is a point total based off of like the highest score, whatever. Yeah. And like that was the great All-Star. That's like in the last probably 10 years or so. That's the All-Star game I remember. And then they're like, great, we did it. And then they ran it back and it turns out, well, the guys can just kind of lose that intensity. The idea this time around was like, well, if it's like a little tournament and it's about the same amount of basketball, we basically have it like you're always kind of in the fourth quarter or you're always closer to the game ending. Maybe that ups the intensity. And I thought that it did. And you could tell, like, shout out like Wembanyama and a number of the guys for like really like bringing it a little bit more than some other years where they really get into standing around. But I wonder if maybe like down the line, if you could see people lose intensity again. I thought it was fun though. And I think ultimately the All-Star game is not that big of a deal to me. So if they want to screw around and make the format whatever they want, sure, why not?
Yeah. Nick, what was your take?
Honestly, I'm just waiting for us to divide it by race. That would be the most fun. I mean, let's be real.
Who
that was a Nick Wright.
Nick Wright was.
I think it was Nick Wright. Yeah, but I'm like, I've been on that for a hot second. Of like, dude, do you want people to care? Like, put basketball dominance on the line for the race that has dominated it since they were allowed to play.
Sure.
Like just the
Eastern Europeans. You're talking
exactly.
About.
That's exactly what I was leaning into. But no, I mean, I thought it was a good move. It was a clear, just like they watched, four nations face off. They saw the ratings from the NHL All-Star and were like, let's do this. I don't know. It feels like there's not enough competition. You got two U.S. teams and then you had the world team. And how were the two U.S. teams split up? Because I don't know why. Maybe I was wrong, but I was under the impression that it was going to be like a older generation of stars versus the younger generation of stars.
I thought that's kind of like.
But no, you had Jalen Brunson on the team with old guys. And I know he's not like super young, but then you had Devin Booker on the young guys team.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like for the most part it was, but like
maybe there was just some
leftovers.
Like,
exactly.
Hey,
so I'm
which
like,
team do you want to be on? Yeah.
I see the effort. I appreciate that they're trying to do something. It seems like Adam Silver is trying to cement himself as the do something commissioner of the NBA.
Well, his days are numbered, so it's a good move. I mean,
people hate on my commissioner, but I never seen another commissioner do a Skims deal. So until David Stern fans, you can dig something up around him doing shapewear for women, a deal with the NBA, then I'll be right here wearing my Adam Silver hat, which I'm going to get one day. I'm going to have one.
His public approval
merch.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Public approval?
Oh, public opinion on Adam Silver is like the lowest that it's ever been by a lot right now, it feels like. I mean, I think in general it's kind of hard to be liked as a commissioner of a sports league, obviously.
Certainly.
Like, I don't know if any of them are above water right now if you were to poll fans, but damn, they hate Silver.
Where are you at on him?
I mean, I think if you're a commissioner, you just have to, you can't try to be likable, especially if you look like an alien, bro. Like if you're the alien, like salamander, reptilian looking guy, just be that guy and be like, everyone hates me. I don't care. Take a page out of the Philly book.
Honestly, if Silver went up into one of the press conferences, like everyone hates me anyway, no matter what I do, so it's all pointless and I don't care anymore, that would win me over.
Someone endear.
I'd be like,
but what if he did it really pouty? What if he did it like really pouty?
That's what I'm asking for. I would love him to be like, this just sucks anyway. Whatever. I don't need this.
Let it run really long too. Like just sit up there in silence. Just go. just like quiet. Everyone's just kind of like waiting for him to say more. He just doesn't say much.
He sits down, like grabs the mic, and he just like keeps like just like in his lap, and just like.
That'd be great. If he did that, I would like him a lot. This guy seems pretty cool. I thought Dame winning the NBA 3-point contest after not playing this year was so funny. I think that's like sneaky one of the funniest things this year so far. Outside of the All-Star game, I was pretty bored by everything else that happened. And like you said, Matt, like the All-Star weekend is for publicity and
it's for children
and stuff. So I'm not
6 to 10 Lego.
Yeah. Like I'm not losing sleep over it, but as someone who grew up really loving watching the dunk contest and how much that influenced me loving the NBA, that I do think it's important for the longevity of the league that kids are entertained by the All-Star experience. And like, that is an alluring thing for like young fans to be on board. So I think at what point do you just go get street dunkers, go get like 2 street dunker guys versus like Mac McClung and whoever the next best dunker is. And then you go do it. You add the one-on-one tournament. Like when do they just pull the trigger on one-on-one?
The one-on-one I'm really down with. I really would like to see the one-on-one. I think the issue that you run into with this stuff is like the reality of the dunk contest is very different than what it was 40 years ago.
Definitely.
The level of dunks that these guys have to pull off for it to be like acceptable or like impressive to people, I guess now is way higher than it used to be.
For sure.
And the truth is like there's kind of a limit on the number of ways in which you can dunk it. You can like bounce it off different stuff. You can jump over a lot of different things.
That's my favorite. It's just the same like dunk, but
keep jumping over stuff.
Jumping over a snapping turtle. Pool of sharks. Sure. We haven't seen Pool of Sharks yet.
Pool of Sharks would be sick.
Yeah, and if they get a Pool of Sharks, I think it'll be their best yet. But then the next person's got to up that, and
it's just more sharks.
Alligator, more sharks. The ball's on fire. I don't know. Do something.
The shark is on fire.
Yeah, there we go.
So like, I think it just gets difficult for those guys to like invent stuff or whatever, and then it's like, do you just want the headache of that? And if you go out there and you screw up and you like try your best, you're like, sure, I'll put in the work, and here's gonna be my dunks, and they probably have to go and work on them or whatever, and then they like, what happened to Jace Richardson, right?
Yeah, that was scary.
He fell horribly, not only in injury, but then it's like he's getting posted all over social media, and everybody is so negative and crushing these guys about it.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised that a lot of the stars look at that and just say, screw that. Like, I'll just go play in the All-Star game and chill.
I get it, but there is a part of me that's like, yeah, but also like you're in the part of being a superstar is like sometimes you're gonna have to get embarrassed a little bit. Like you do have to accept some amount of, when your name is that big, take on some risk. Take on a little bit of risk to put on a show. But I get it. Like if I was a superstar in the league, I don't know that I would do the dunk contest.
And what amount of money?
I can't really touch the net, so it would have to be. I mean, a lot of things would have to change, obviously.
Well, I'm just thinking like money talks. What amount of money do you have to put up?
Right,
to
these guys to be
make
interested.
people care.
Right.
I mean, like let's think. I know a guy that a lot of people talked about. Like, why isn't he in it? Shaden Sharp. He's not an all-star. He's a very good player. But you know, what amount of money do you need to put up for the winner to entice Shaden Sharp? You know,
right.
My read on that has always been like, I think the NBA has looked at it and said more than what it is worth. It's the same thing with like, could you make the cash prize for the All-Star game so great that the players are like going 100% truly? It's like, there's probably a line where they would, but man, it'd be expensive.
Especially for the dudes playing in the All-Star game. These guys are on, multi $10 million super maxes. Like, what are you going to throw? It'd have to be like $10 million a guy for the winning team or whatever.
And they still might be like, yeah.
Yeah, right. Right.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, I thought Kawhi going out there and busting everybody's ass is so funny. And if I'm a Clippers fan, I would be furious. I have a Clippers fan buddy that was like so pumped watching this game, and he's like, that's my boy Kawhi out there frying everybody. Like, this is what he does. And I was like, doesn't that bother you that like every year in the playoffs he just will like disappear for half a series, and you could have this? You could have arguably the best player in the league when he wants to be. Like, that would frustrate me a lot as a fan. It did bode well for my take that if Kawhi just played more, that he could have ended up in the GOAT conversation. It did do well for that on a floor of all the best players in the league, he went out there and fried everybody. It was great. It was insane. It was incredible to watch.
He was balling. I think he gets a little bit more grace for it this year because he's really been going hard in the regular season, where a lot of other years prior, it's like he's not going 100%, and the idea being like he's kind of saving himself.
Yeah.
Who's your team, Matt?
I'm a Hornets fan.
You're a Hornets guy. Okay. I'm
from South Carolina.
Okay, nice. I lived in Charlotte for a hot second. South End. Shout out.
I'm not. I've known nothing about Charlotte. If I'm being totally honest, I'll expose myself here. I'm from Columbia, fine. South Carolina, so like locationally it makes sense. But I've been to Charlotte like maybe only the times I've been to games, and even now, like I live in Cincinnati, so it's like I'm going to Indianapolis or whatever.
Okay, and not to pivot, I don't know if we have any other All-Star things to get to. It's about NBA, you did it because we talked about the All-Star game for more than 5 minutes.
Yes, right.
So congrats, Success. Adam Silver, you son of a bitch. But I guess, dude, I actually was right after the draft. I was like, this was a very interesting draft for the Hornets because at every single pick they had, they took what I would call for NBA relative high floor, low ceiling talent. I think of every lottery pick, Con Knippel has the lowest ceiling. And that's not to say he can't still be very good, but the guys that were taken around him seem to be like these, oh my gosh, this guy could be our franchise. A lot of them. And maybe Carter Bryant isn't quite that. But he's more of a potential pick. Con Knippel's like, we know what we have here. And we like the way he exists in an ecosystem next to a higher gravity guy. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing. But him, Knippel, Kalkbrenner, even like Sion James. And then you look at a lot of the guys they signed. It seems like they're finally deciding it's time to like shit or get off the pot. Let's see what we have here with LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and like surround them with some decent talent to make a push and see if we need to blow this thing up or not. I'm just curious on what your thoughts are like on this season, kind of the direction y'all are headed in.
Well, it's interesting because I agree for the last couple of years before this season, the Hornets would oftentimes have a roster that's probably a little bit too spec'd into we've got playing time for second rounders, if you know what I mean. We've got playing time for guys who are like, 19-year-old total projects or whatever. So you'd go into the season and you'd be like, all right, this team can be okay. But then inevitably when they have their injury issues, it's a lot of guys who are like basically not NBA players getting a bunch of minutes. And even when you're healthy, it's like, do you have guys who can really connect around LaMelo? Or is it dudes who like are hoping that they can get their offensive game to a point where they can just sit in the corner and not be like completely ignored by defenses and not be like, we're going to just dare this guy to shoot or whatever. And obviously like was a terrible product and they kept getting worse and they won 19 games last year and all that. So this year when they drafted Con and Kalkbrenner and Sion James, it's like, okay, they're making a focus on getting guys who can really contribute. But what I think has turned out, and I thought like we'll see about the ceiling on Knippel, is like the truth is like his ceiling is actually pretty high and he's been completely unbelievable. Now I don't think that anybody could have expected that he was going to be quite this good this quickly, but he's having the best shooting season for a rookie ever by far. I mean, it's not even close unless you want to account for like era in terms of when Curry set his mark of like most threes hit in a season. The 3-pointer was in a completely different space. And I think that's valid context. But what Con is able to do as a shooter, his ability to quick fire and pull it out in all the right moments doesn't make him feel like a rookie. And he's got more on-ball creation ability than you would expect. Now, does he have like a crazy high ceiling in terms of like being a physical force around the rim? We'll see. But could he be like one of the premier shooting threats in the NBA and a guy who has a very well-built game off of that? Not some like total, I can't dribble the ball at all, like closer to the opposite, closer to like a guy who you want the ball in his hands and is a really good decision maker. I think the answer is yes. He's been nuts. So I agree. Like they've gotten a lot of the connective pieces needed. Now like Grant Williams is healthy and a whole bunch of different stuff. Diabate's leveled up his game again, but I think they've actually landed somebody who has a little bit higher ceiling than you would expect, even while doing that.
And I think, like, honestly, I mean, lower ceiling in a sense of I don't think Con Knippel can be a franchise guy, personally. Like, I think we're seeing him have this much success this early because LaMelo's been healthy and because you have such a high gravity, hive mind point guard at the helm of this thing. And I'm not to say like he won't be a very, very good number 2 for someone. I think that's more of his ceiling personally, but either way, I've been impressed. And I think the thing that did surprise me that you mentioned is when he puts it on the floor, he looks really comfortable. I think you look at guys that came into the league as pure shooters or even just 3-and-D guys and driving closeouts. If they can't take a straight line path to the rim, it's probably not going to end well. I think that's been like Risa Shea's issue is like, dude, he doesn't shoot it that great to begin with, but when he does put it on the floor, it's like, oh gosh, like what's going on? But Khan, like he changes direction. Like, well, it's like you said, he's not crazy explosive, but when he gets to 2 feet, dude, it reminds me of Luka. Like really it does. And it's not like this super, I'm going to bounce you off your center of gravity, but it's just so incredibly polished and patient and just poised, I guess. But yeah, no, Khan's a dog, man. I like what y'all going on.
What would you need to see out of Khan Kidable for you to consider him a franchise guy? I'm just curious about like what would constitute that in terms of just because, and I'm not saying that I disagree, like I'm not saying I agree or disagree that he's a franchise guy. I'm kind of jury's out on that for me with him. When he first came into the league, I would have agreed with you. Like, yeah, that's not a franchise guy, but could be a really fun player offensively. But he's so exceeded everyone's expectations here, and just like you said, there's just been a lot of games where I watch him and I'm like, damn, that's a pro right there. Like as a rookie, that's a guy I just look at and I'm like, that's a very professional scorer. So just out of curiosity, because I think that you would have a good take on this, what would it take to see out of him, or what would constitute like him breaking through that mold of like not smaller, but like not a bigger physically dominant player that's like a little bit slower and not super athletic, but like, you know, but we've seen guys be successful without some of those traits before. So like, what is it that you would see that at some point, could you see yourself being like, oh, actually, maybe that is a franchise guy?
Wait, are you asking me or Matt?
Either one. Both.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Matt, do you think he's a franchise guy?
Depends on what you mean by franchise guy. I mean, if we're talking number 1 on a championship team, like, yeah, that's a really, really high bar. So I wouldn't take any offense to being like Khan might never be that. And I think that he does benefit in terms of like, he's not asked to go at a crazy volume when it comes to on-ball creation, right? Because you have Brandon Miller there and because you have LaMelo there and whatnot, and even Bridges. So it's like there's a lot of different guys who can put the ball on the floor, and he's somebody who more like fits in as a really important piece of that equation rather than like I'm driving the entire offense. I mean, if his ball handling like grew throughout his career and like he became somebody who you could lean on if the pick and roll is like your main attack. I mean, we've seen guys who aren't crazy athletes who just learn how to hit tough shots off platform and constantly make the right decision, or high level passers. Like, you know, you think about like a Jalen Brunson or somebody like that. Not that him and Brunson are really like that similar players, but you know what I'm saying? So I think you can get pretty far along in terms of like where you rank as an offensive player. Even if you aren't like a crazy athlete. And Khan's athletic limitations are not like that bad. We're not talking about a dude who's
not
like
a
5th percentile. He's just not somebody who's going to just beat you with his first step on its own.
Yeah. And look, I was of the opinion that I'm like, I think Austin Reeves is a really good player. Do I think he become like a premier scorer in this league? No. And then he kind of has just become that. So like, I could be wrong. I think we see more and more guys that are athletically limited just figure it out, you know? Look at, obviously, and Reeves he's not a bad athlete, but he's not exceptionally athletic. Brunson's not exceptionally athletic. Alperen Şengün is not exceptionally athletic. I mean, none of them are, but I think pace is important when you're talking about, can this guy become this? And yeah, he definitely checks that box. He plays at his own speed. As a rookie, to not get sped up, like Cooper Flagg is probably going to be the rookie of the year. Khan has looked more comfortable and poised, especially with the ball in his hands for the entirety of the season than Cooper has.
I wouldn't hate Khan over Coop for rookie of the year, to be honest with you. That's not a knock on Coop. I think Coop has played really well. But I think the Hornets being relevant for the first time in a long time, and that having a lot to do with Khan coming in and being like such a weapon, I do think that should count for something. And it's, again, that's not like to say that Coop doesn't also do that, but the team is just, I think, worse and will probably continue to get worse over the last half of the season here. Now that Kyrie just announced today that he's done for the season, which sucks. I mean,
dude,
kind of half expected, but
they posted like he died. Like they posted like we traded him. I was like, what happened? And
yeah.
he's like,
I'm surprised
playing basketball. It's like, oh, so you're just gonna do more of the same of what you did? Okay.
I will say, I went to the game the other day. I went to Lakers Mavs the other day. Kyrie was active on the bench, man. He was like,
I think he's sticking around. I mean, I don't think he's
like
up.
Anywhere. Yeah, he was up and like having fun with the guys and high-fiving everybody and coaching guys, and it was kind of fun to see. It was cool to see him kind of accepting that role. Kyrie has kind of quickly become like a very reliable leader in a lot of ways, I think. Like as he's grown up and matured a lot through his career.
Yeah, Dallas is the first place he's been since Cleveland where like he didn't get run out of town after a year or two.
Yeah, right. So it's cool to see him do that. But yeah, I think exciting stuff for the Hornets, man. I think I could see a world where Khan. I'm not saying Khan I'm not making this as like a prediction that he'll be Curry, but I am saying like I could see an offense sort of finding its way to being built around a guy that shoots the ball that well as he matures through his career. He's already shooting the ball this well. If he continues on this track and the more comfortable he gets and the better he gets at like reading NBA level defenses and taking NBA level size bumps and like all of the different things that come with, being a 28-year-old in the league as opposed to like a 20-year-old, I could see his career developing in a way where it's like, actually the offense does run through Con Knueppel and he is that good. And I could see a ceiling where he's like a top 10 guy in the league, honestly. And I mean, I wouldn't say I'd predict top 5, but I could see a world where he's in the like 15 to 8 range, right? And I mean, I don't know if you consider that a franchise guy or like a one on a contender.
Top 10 player in the league? I would consider that a franchise guy.
Well, true. Yes. Well, yes, with some nuance. Like, there are certain guys that are like, they're maybe close to like I was saying closer to like the 10 mark. There are guys who are at that mark right now where like they're a franchise guy, but it's like not on a great team or what, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example right now. Maybe this is a bad way to explain this.
Zach LaVine.
Like it's at some point in his career, like you might have considered him like the 12th best guy in the league, but like it wasn't. Nobody really wanted. I don't know. The long and the short of what I'm trying to say. That's a little fun thing we like to do where I put in the name of the podcast and say something. What I'm trying to say is like I can see a world where he develops his game enough where like he's the number one option on an offense at least of like a very good team.
For sure.
Which I think is wildly exceeding expectations for him.
Yeah. Matt, I got a question for you.
Okay.
And I'm going to skip around on our schedule, Connor, a little bit.
Please.
I just feel like this is a good question for now. Deadline happened. Not a ton of crazy moves, but pick a move, whatever it is, big or small. What move did you like for a team just stood out to you more than the others?
What move did I like the most? That's tough because I honestly think there are a number of moves that I was kind of questionable about. I mean, like really what happened as much as anything is like, I like Zubac to the Pacers. Yeah. I think that's exciting, but it's a huge gamble. We don't even really know what they gave up yet.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I'll say I'm not a fan of AD to the Wizards. Maybe that's the one that I feel relatively the strongest about.
Okay.
To me, I think it's kind of short-sighted, and it's a move to make you more fun on paper rather than to build long-term. I understand the idea. Like the Wizards have been bad for a while and you want to be competitive. You can bring in AD, and because he's banged up, it's not going to affect your 2026 season or your 2026 draft pick, I should say, which is a plus. And then I guess front offices feel like 2027 is going to be a pretty weak draft with the way that these bad teams have been moving, trading for stars. I'll also say, like, in terms of draft capital, 2 firsts and 3 seconds is how it got reported initially. what did they really give up?
Yeah.
The Thunder 26. Okay, so like maybe just 30 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Golden State 2030 sounds like it could be okay. So far in the future, you never know, but it's top 20 protected.
Yeah.
And then turns into a second round pick if it doesn't convey immediately.
So essentially 5 seconds.
I'm a Mavs fan, and I just told people we did a Chicago Bulls. We just got a bunch of second round picks. Yeah. Like Jokic in there somewhere. Jokic 2. Revenge of Jokic. Got to be in there.
I almost wonder if that, sorry, not to cut you off, but I almost wonder if that was more them trying to bring like veterans into a locker room. AD, I don't think has that much long left on this contract. And he's not like so old that he'll never have an opportunity to have a semi-healthy season again. I mean, look, the Wizards get a good pick this year. They go into next year. If they can get 60 games out of AD, which is a big if, it's a big if as a Lakers fan. That was a tough ask. But if they could get 50 to 60 games out of AD, Trae Young is sort of running an offense of young guys. I could see a world where building that for what they gave up, like what we're saying right now, like essentially 5 seconds. I can see a world where it's like, yeah, can we get into like a play-in or maybe even a, right above a play-in or something, and then get these young guys some playoff experience, especially if they end up with a really nice draft pick in this 26 class that is like pretty loaded in my opinion. You get some of these young guys some good playoff experience. You get a veteran voice in the locker room that's won a championship before. I do agree that like it might feel a little short-sighted and like long-term maybe is a little, just use those picks and like draft guys. But I could see a franchise being in a place where they're like, how many more second-round pick guys are we going to take and shove into this Wizards roster before something comes of it,
I see that, I guess. And look, like they're definitely going to be better next year.
Sure.
Right. I mean, just having a lead playmaker like Trae, even if he is kind of like fundamentally flawed with the size and the defense and all that, and he's not maybe playing his best basketball as of recent, like it's a game changer. And it's interesting to see like, okay, like the defense is rough, but what does SAR and AD next to each other look like on either end? And like, how is that going to work out? Like, I see the vision with that. But I also think as it stands right now, like I'll say this, when you trade for those guys who are on huge contracts, who you're like, we might not really even be trying to keep them around. I do think like using that salary on those dudes does have some opportunity costs when it comes to like, can we then instead be the type of team that's taking on bad contracts for draft assets? And when you're the Wizards, and I feel like you haven't hit on anybody where you're like, this is the guy, like clearly we have the pieces in place to build towards our next version of ourselves, then I guess I question a little bit trading for those transition stars. Ultimately, probably will not make or break them. You're not going to look back and say like this crushed them. And there's a decent chance that like, if they finish in the top 3 or 4 in the lottery, then they get a guy where they feel like that, and then, okay, let's go. But personally, I like continuing on the path of trying to maximize your assets in this rebuild rather than speccing into like making the play-in for experience for your young guys. But
I feel the same way. Honestly, I feel like it was a move made a bit too soon, but I do think that a lot of times like this league is just kind of built around price tags, and I think it was Russillo that said it. He was like, man, if you see a price tag on Trae Young that is CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert, you jump on it.
Yeah.
You just do. You do. Even if you think you're anywhere remotely close to being competitive. And I think the only reason they did is because they saw, okay, Alex Sarr is having a good year. He seems like he might be a part. He might be able to be a part of something. Keyshawn, or I think it's Keyshawn or George, the tall kind of point forward kid.
Yeah, I like him.
I like him too. And it's like, okay, he seems like he could be a part of a championship-ish team.
Yep.
And then you got
Trey Johnson.
Trey Johnson has just been hooping, just puts the ball in the hole. As simple as that.
Yep.
It's like, okay.
People sleep on Bilal Coulibaly, man.
Dude, I
swear to God, people sleep on that kid, bro. I swear to God, he's going to be good. I swear he's going to be so sick.
I thought he's been past the he's going to be good thing, and now he's like, what, like 28?
No,
I mean,
Koulibaly's not 28, is he?
No, he's only drafted a handful of years ago.
Really?
Yeah,
I just remember the discovery of Bilal of like, oh my gosh, this guy is a 3-and-D. Like,
I think there was another
guy, a little bit of secondary ball handling. No,
he's
Bilal. I'm talking about.
He's 21 years old.
He's 21?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think there was a second Koulibaly in the NBA that was similar to that, or a second guy like that. Maybe there wasn't. I don't know.
I'm talking about Bilal. I mean, maybe I'm just thinking.
Yeah, maybe you just suck at this.
Did he come into the league at like 18 on the dot, bro?
Yeah, he's young, bro. I'm telling you. He's very young, and that kid is going to be sick. I don't know if he's ever going to be like I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star, but like there's been stretches where he's like taken over games on both ends. I'm telling you, like, I mean, bad games. I was on the Koulibaly train for a bit, and I just assumed that he had been in the league for like a year or two, and then like I'm talking about 3 years ago, seeing him like, oh, like Wizards might have something here. And then I thought it just kind of like leveled out. I'm like, okay, I guess it's just he's just been banged up. He's been pretty banged up the last like year. His like rookie season, there was flashes, and then his sophomore year there was flashes, but he's kind of getting hurt. And then this year he's been pretty banged up. But
yeah, dude.
You know, I think this. You know, sorry, were you? Did you wrap up that take? Sorry, I cut you off for.
Oh no, you're good. I guess to sum that up, my thought is like, does it feel early? Yeah. Like, does it feel like they're not the team to go all in quite yet? Yeah, but you see price tags you like, and you're like, can we pass this up?
When you look at it like that too, if you were to say to someone 5 years ago, hey, we can get you Anthony Davis and Trae Young for CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert, a couple second-round picks, and a couple bad firsts. Everyone is jumping. I mean, everybody in the league would take that opportunity. Now, granted, obviously, we're talking about years ago, and we're living in the now. I'm not trying to say like, you know, but if you could get 75% of what those two guys were when they were a hotter commodity.
AD is still a good player when he plays. I really do think the availability issue with him is pretty drastic.
I mean, that's why the Cavs moved Garland, because he just doesn't play games.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? They're better in the short term for it. And it's tough because you're like, how are you just going to ship off your young guy like that who's been an all-star for somebody who's, you know, like 10 years older? And it's like, because James Harden plays, man. It's a bigger deal in the league now than it's ever been. And I think the stat is, you know, Anthony Davis has hit 65 games in a season one time since he left the Pelicans. Granted, a couple of shortened seasons that made that tough, but like he misses as much time as just about anybody.
Yeah. No, I agree. I liked the move for Cleveland to go get Harden. I actually thought that was a great move.
I'm talking myself into it.
I thought it was a great move for both teams. I do. I look, I'm not a big Harden guy. Like, I'm not a huge Harden believer. I'm not going to like stick my neck out to be, you know, go on a tangent about how good James Harden is. I've actually been kind of a hater at times on James Harden, but I will say, man, that Cleveland team in this weakened East this year, I think them looking at what they have and looking around the East and just going, man, everybody's banged up. This Bucks team isn't anywhere near what we thought they're going to be. This Knicks team has gone on too many stretches where they're very disappointing. I mean, who do we really have to beat here? You got banged up Boston, Philly.
No defense Knicks.
The no defense Knicks. Philly is like kind of young and exciting with Maxey and Edgecombe, but like you don't know what you're going to get out of Embiid, and the rest of the roster is just kind of okay. I don't know. I get Cleveland being like, we can leverage a second round pick for a guy who's older, but a guy who could like. Maybe we could just get to a championship this year. Like, I don't see that as. I think that's a good move. I liked it. I thought it was a smart play. And I'm usually not in favor of the leverage for getting the older player, but I thought they got a good deal out of it.
Yeah, you made a good point, Matt. Like, playing is a premium these days. Like, getting a guy that simply plays like 90% of the games is really valuable. But it's funny. I kind of related it to like I feel like Cleveland has like great value Luka Kyrie now. Like, you have a guy that wants the ball in his hands, that defensively you kind of don't really know what you're going to get. And he wants to run the show, but also excels with a guy next to him that he can just kind of pass the ball and be like a tunnel vision guard, and that's Donovan Mitchell. Like Donovan Mitchell trying to run a team, it's not bad, but you know that he's better when his one responsibility on offense is to go get a bucket. And I feel like that's kind of like Kyrie anyways, but
yeah.
I mean, the big thing with them is that like it just can't be only Donovan Mitchell out there running the offense. And the on-off numbers for them were like, when Mitchell's on the floor, they had among the best offenses in the NBA, and then when he was off, they have among the worst. When I last looked at it, it was like literally the best and the worst. I don't know if that's still true, but you needed another guy who could seriously handle the ball and create offense, and James Harden is that. And he's already had like this great chemistry with Jared Allen. It looks really good to start things off. And on top of that, like I agree, weak East, and I think is what plays into that as much as even the East being weak. If the Cavs are going to do it with this core, kind of feels like it's going to be in the next couple of seasons or not.
Yeah.
It's true that Garland's a lot younger and gives you more of a long-term outlook. And maybe that matters past even like this current window, but it feels like, man, if we're going to get this thing done, especially now that the Pacers have pushed their chips in the middle and the Celtics are coming back, honestly, you could probably go as far to say, if it's going to happen for Cleveland, it probably is going to be this year where they get it done. So do you want to stick by Garland, who's just not playing? And even when he does, it's like, sometimes the effectiveness isn't there. And even when he's 100%, you've got the issues that like he's a small guard and he doesn't get to the rim and he doesn't fit well next to Mitchell. Harden gets to the rim much better than him, of course. So there's just a lot of issues there, even though like a lot of teams like the Clippers, for instance, who I agree, I like them saying, it's time, even though they got hot and went on a run. Yeah. They said it's about time. I thought the Vucevic trade, I thought that was not the Vucevic, the Zubac trade was good value for him. I thought taking a shot on Garland as a rehab sort of project, great play. And I feel like they're in a position where they could still be like decently competitive. They haven't like completely destroyed the whole team or whatever. But I like that move for them. And I think with Cleveland, ultimately we'll see how James Harden holds up in the playoff. But I'm a little bit more excited about them now than I was before. And if they didn't get it done this year, my long-term outlook would have been you spent all your assets already. Like you're kind of just out of ammo to go significantly change your team. And the East is going to most likely be way, way harder next year with, instead of it being like, who knows who could come out of it, it'll be like, we've got two like serious tier 1 contenders potentially in the Celtics and the Pacers, at least.
I think the Clippers set themselves up well too. Like I think it was a good trade. I love a good trade for both teams. I love when both teams walk away happy. I
feel like most trades are like that. And this social media reaction is just like fleeced every time.
It is a lot of that. Yeah.
There's no nuance to thoughts.
I think a lot of it's picking directions. A lot of times it's just two teams going in two different directions.
I'm a Mavericks fan. I loved AD, like the trade that we like, okay, we have a direction. We seem that it's very clear that we're just ready to move on. Cool.
Yeah.
Make it happen. His value's at an all-time low. Ship him out. Do whatever you can to get us going in the right direction. But Connor, what were you saying?
I was going to say, I like where the Clippers are headed. Speaking of direction, I like where the Clippers are headed. I think this offseason they're going to ship Kawhi. I don't see him hanging around for what's to come. I think there's also, I've heard some rumblings of the Reaper is coming for the tree farm, the whole tree thing.
It's very possible. I wonder how much trouble Kawhi would get in for that. And Kawhi is a weird player to nail down because it seems like he really wants to be in LA. And for a lot of these guys, it's like they want to be in LA. They don't want to just like kind of go wherever. But it's hard to imagine that Kawhi stays on a team that is like, again, not like, you trade for Garland, it's possible he gets rehabbed and you get Mathurin back and whatever. So it's like you're still trying to get like players who could seriously contribute, but like a team that's basically not even trying to compete in a Western Conference where you'd really need to be doing something crazy to feel like you have a chance even to like be competitive in the second round or whatever. Like, is he just going to sit on that roster for the rest of his career? Really? Right. When he comes out and he plays at this level like he has been this season, it's really, really tough to imagine that's how it goes down. And if you were the Clippers, you would absolutely want to trade him. So we'll see.
I'm curious about a Kawhi to the Bucks deal and what that looks like.
Would you believe me if I told you I just had that exact same thought?
Did you really?
Yeah, I was like, and not in the same context. I was like, I could see Kawhi just going to like some fuck ass team like Milwaukee. Whatever. They'll pay me. Who's going to pay me the most.
The problem is, I agree with Matt that I do think Kawhi wants to be in LA, or at the very least, he wants to be in warm weather. I think that's his MO. I could see
1 year in Toronto, all it took.
Right.
1 year of We the North.
Right. I could see Miami or Milwaukee being a really nice suitor for Kawhi next year, or this summer. And then you sort of have the Clippers heading the direction of like the rebuild, the tank, and that kind of brings us to the next topic of discussion here, which is
great segue.
You like that?
Good job. Yeah.
You love when I hit a good segue, don't you?
Dude, I get so fired up for a good segue.
The tankathon is on, and it just feels like every season it's happening earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier. And it's getting to a point where I think it's gone. I think it's starting to sneak past. Yeah, it's the smart thing to do to tank. You go get good players. Yeah, you saw what OKC did. Cool. It's starting to it's slipped past that, and it's starting to become like, hey, have some fucking pride. Try to win a little, give a shit a little bit for 75% of the season and see if you can win something.
There's a level that's okay. There's an amount of honor you have to have with it.
Yeah.
So you think about the Utah Jazz are obviously the example that comes to mind, saying we're stuck. We're not really going to get where we're trying to go with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. We're going to trade him for a bunch of first-round draft picks. As much as anything, that's what's started and been the cause of the tank, right?
Sure.
And everybody is okay with that. The fans are okay with it. A lot of times, there's more fan bases that want their team to do something like that than there are fan bases that are ever mad that their team blows it up. That's for sure. Trading for Jaren Jackson Jr. and then saying, well, we're actually not ready to start winning yet because we think this draft class is good and our pick is top 8 protected, so it's really important where we land. So we're going to put him in games and then start pulling him out and Laurie out in the fourth quarter to lose on purpose. You can't accept that. You can't do that. And the league should come down hard on anybody doing that. Whether it's the Jazz or whoever, and I'm sure there's teams that have gotten away with doing that before that Jazz fans could point to, and fair enough, but in general, teams shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, Mavs did that Derek Lively year. I remember that. We got fined for it. But yeah, no, I agree too. It is shameless, and I always go to football, dude, NFL teams will be horrible. And these dudes are CTE speed running in week 17, running through a wall for their team, for their interim head coach, that stepped in week 12 or whatever. And it's I guess the difference is, I want to say what's the difference, but the difference is there's less games, there's less chance to prove yourself to make a roster. But
it's a huge part of it. And a lot of tanking is just putting in those young guys who are trying to prove themselves in the NBA as much as anything. And I also think it's a lot of things. I mean, to be fair, even in the NFL, I'm not going to pretend like tanking is nearly as big of an issue. They don't even have a lottery in the first place, and tanking isn't an issue. But we see from time to time teams take their foot off the gas in the last few games. Or the New York Jets this year, they traded away multiple star players at the deadline for draft picks. That's tanking. That isn't a move that they think is going to make them better right now. Yeah, and you know what? I think Jets fans probably look at that and say, good. That helps our rebuild. That helps us get to a place where I can actually be excited about the team. And I don't think the league should have any problem with that. And I don't think the NBA does either. But there's a combination of, in the NBA, I think, to go on a run in the playoffs, you actually have to be really good. There's teams that kind of come out of nowhere, don't get me wrong, but you cannot sneak into the playoffs and really not be that crazy, but then just get hot at the right time.
Yeah.
The NBA, as much as any other major North American sports league, I guess, really crowns the best team as its champion more often than not, because of the 7-game series and because of the nature of the sport. on top of that, like, yeah, the season being super long means you kind of know your fate a little bit sooner than you can know your fate and have 35 games to go.
Right.
And then on top of that, in the draft, having a top pick is just so much more important than it is in a lot of these other leagues, even in the NFL, right? Where it's like, yeah, you have some superstar quarterbacks and it's really important, but the gap between like the number 1 overall pick and the 15th overall pick in the NBA is giant. That's why every trade has to be done with these pick protections, and you only have 2 rounds at all, right? And on top of that, you think about how important the best few players are. Like, I mean, how many titles since 1980 have been won without one of like the 20 best players of all time relatively at their prime? Not many. So it's just like your top guy's so important. The top picks are so important. The season's so long. You really have to be the best. I think it all comes together to make tanking an unfortunate reality in the current system for sure. That's not easy to solve.
It's a lot of things, and I do think the season needs to be shorter. Everyone
take a page out of the EuroLeague book for sure.
They just have to accept that you're going to lose some money by shortening the games, but in the long run, it will come back around to you in other ways. There's too many injuries. There's too many guys taking time off and resting, and it's bad. It's bad for the health of the league, in my opinion. And to say that is not to say these guys shouldn't rest. I get it. I get why guys take games off. I get why teams tank aggressively. Like, they're doing it because that is what the parameters of the league. Well, I just kicked my camera there. They're doing it because that's like what the league allows for them to do, right? Like, they're doing it because they're able to sort of exploit these certain things about the league that are they're in place for other things, and smart teams have figured out how to do a workaround, right? So I'm not saying these teams shouldn't do these things. I'm just saying the league needs to start putting some stuff in place to make it less effective to just sit guys for a season and tank as hard as possible, you know?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. You said like the EuroLeague. I don't know much about soccer. Did they shorten their season?
No, I'm EuroLeague basketball.
Oh.
They play like a 60-ish game season.
Well, actually, I can't find the basketball league that plays 82 games outside of the NBA. Maybe I'm totally off base. I went.
No, it's why there's nothing like it.
Nobody's playing 82 games, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree that it's too many, and this is why I kind of I'm not a fan of Silver recently. I think that he allows issues to become like crisis when they're not really, and there's a level of like running the PR of the league that I think he fails at. I'm a fan of some stuff like the play-in has been a really good solution.
I agree.
The in-season tournament I think is fine. I think it's a good attempt.
I like it.
I really dislike the 65 game minimum. I think that it misunderstands why players are missing games, and it promotes the idea that the league is lazy and has made absolutely zero effect on what they wanted to. I think that was a really poor decision. But ultimately, I think Silver just does not have the option to push any buttons that decrease league revenue. And I that makes everything really hard. So like we can sit here and say, and I agree, I've been saying it for a while, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We can sit here and say like the league should play less games because everyone is getting injured. And there's like, I mean, maybe 10 guys a year who can play 82. And I mean, if you compare now to like the 2000s, how many guys are getting to 80 games or 75 games, you go back and look on guys who have played in both of those eras, and you think like, oh, they're older, but really it's a difference in era. You go like, dang, LeBron was like never missing more than a handful of games, and now it's like you're always going to miss a chunk. There's so many players who they're always going to miss a chunk. There's very few players that you have any reliability that they can actually stay in and play like a serious chunk of the season, or like not miss a serious chunk of the season, I should say. So in terms of limiting games to hopefully like maybe make each individual game a little more valuable, there's a little bit less of like, are we going longer than we need to really understand like who the best and worst teams are? Like the standings typically don't change a crazy amount post All-Star game outside of a few spots here or there. I'm totally on board. But I think if you're silver, like the owners don't want to do that because it means less short-term revenue, even if it is better long-term. And you know what? The players don't want that either because the salary cap and their salaries are based off that revenue as well.
Right. Yeah. I made a video about this a while ago too. About like just some of the fixes that I think would work. And some of it was kind of like supposed to be funny and some of it was serious. But I do think that at some point we have to accept, and like some of the people in the league that are making millions are going to have to take it on the chin and make a little bit of a millions less.
Dude, billionaires, they love that stuff. They love doing that. Making a little bit less money.
Yes, right.
We love that.
Yeah. We have to convince a bunch of people making a ton of money to make a little bit less of a ton of money. But
so the consumer will be happier. They love the consumer.
Right, exactly.
Us, they're like, can't get enough of you guys. How can we make you happier?
We're why they do this. We are why they do this. But Matt, you brought up an interesting point, which is I know it was a misunderstanding of the EuroLeague, but you brought up soccer, and I'm a soccer guy. I'm a big soccer guy.
Oh boy, here we go.
And
here we go.
Well, no, but soccer has a very interesting dynamic when it comes to their leagues and being in last place, which is you get relegated into a lower league. So in European soccer, in Spain and England, those are the two biggest leagues, and they do it in other leagues around the world too. But the two biggest leagues in the world are typically Spain and England. If you're the bottom three teams in the league, at the end of the season, you get moved to the lower league, the lower division. There's like 5 leagues. England has like 11 leagues. It's actually kind of sick the way they do it. You can go like watch a Division 10 league game, and it's like a high school game basically, and it's just a bunch of dudes that are like bagging groceries.
You could go and start a team. Yes, hypothetically, you could go and start a team, and if you were to go and win, you see these guys, they buy these low-level teams, and then they can raise them up or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree about relegation. I just don't think the NBA or like North American pro sports leagues are structured that way, and it's such a killer. I mean, funny, and I have a fantasy football league that does promotion and relegation.
Oh, that's really? I like that.
Well, years ago, I was looking on Sleeper, and you can pick 32 teams as an option. You can have a humongous, ungodly league. So I ran that for a couple of years with some people, but then we realized like the issue is that you're out of it so quickly if you're bad. Like your quarterback goes down for a chunk of time, and then you're doomed or whatever, because it only allows the playoffs to go to 8. I can't expand it past that. And even then, like, you'll spend more of the season being completely kaput. Whereas like in a regular 12-team fantasy league, you can have 5 wins like kind of late in the season and get hot and go on a run.
Yeah.
Well, the solution was like, well, what if I just make relegation so you still have to like play hard, and then there's a league below that or something like that. And more people wanted to be in. So I completely agree about relegation and promotion. It works, and it's super fun.
No, I think we'll see it in practicality of it in the NBA is not super reasonable, but it's an interesting thought, and maybe there's a version of it. Sorry, what were you going to say, Nick?
No, you're good. I love it for college sports, especially with the way things have been going with conferences and stuff. Like it feels like we're on a just one like no stop track to super conference, and to me, the answer feels like, okay, have your super conference and then have like the other leagues below it. So we're not like worried about, okay, like, we got to find out a way to include these group of 5 teams in the college football playoff. And then, in March Madness, everyone's always upset that, their team that's middle of the road in the Big Ten, like didn't make it. Like, oh man, Wisconsin didn't make it, or like SMU didn't make it. And they had all these quad one, like who cares, whatever, just have the super conference, bottom, however many teams get moved out, top, however many teams from the league below get moved up. And then that way we're just picking from those teams for the national champion. We don't have to worry about like, we included JMU and Notre Dame got left out. It's like that issue no longer exists if you do that. You lose the allure of the history of conferences and stuff. But at this point, who cares? It's all gone now anyways. They're just names.
Oh, I mean, Sacramento State is in the MAC, and Oregon and Washington are in the Big. I'm still shocked by Washington in the Big Ten every single time I actually see it, like on my computer.
Dude, Stanford and Cal are in the ACC.
Right.
Like,
yeah. I mean, like it
makes no sense. USC's in the Big Ten.
Like, when do we decide, like, all right, this stuff's all fluid anyway. It doesn't really carry the tradition it used to. What if we just change? What if we just adjust how we've been doing things, you know?
Yeah.
And I love like dumb ideas for stuff like this. Like, I like thinking outside the box for stuff like this, even if it's pie in the sky and people will never do it. I love the idea of not necessarily the G League, but I love the idea of, okay, we're going to bring in some expansion teams, right? Seattle and you know, and Vegas and stuff. Let's shuffle the league around. We're going to have a second NBA. We're going to have the NBA 2. I don't know what they would call it. Like a second NBA league where teams do have to try. You do have to try to fight to get into the NBA. They would never do it, but it is a really interesting idea. Obviously, it'll never happen, but I like the idea of something changing. I like the proposal for the tournament of the losers. That's been brought up where the teams that are really bad, you take the bottom 10 teams in the league or whatever it is, the bottom 8 or whatever, and you have them play a tournament, and the winner of that tournament dictates the landing spot. So the better you do in that tournament, the higher your draft pick is. Granted, that comes with probably a lot of other issues.
I mean, look, we could sit here and pick it apart, but how fun would that be?
Right. Like, I'm just saying, like, it'd be so fun to see, you know, Utah playing against the banged up Pacers or whatever. Yeah, after getting through Sacramento.
They just like brand it really like shitty too. Like, meaning like not poor branding, but just like, this is to see who the least loser is.
Shit off.
You got like Levine like flapping his jersey after a big shot, and there's just a giant like turd in the middle of the court. Yeah, like, logo.
What if they made fun of that? What if we shamed these teams so much that they
shamed the players for their organizations being bad? Yeah. I'm on board.
I have written down 8 potential solutions or ideas that I have seen on social media. Would you guys like to try to blind rank them?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start because you just named one already. We'll start with the tournament of losers.
Okay.
Yeah. Which personally, I'll say, like, if we're talking about it like genuine logistics, all fun and games until a team says it's actually better to be in the loser tournament than it is to be in the bottom of the playoff, and we're going to lose out, which it totally would be if you could get Victor Wembanyama. And if that's what it took to get Wembanyama,
yeah,
I think it would
just makes teams.
It's one thing to have the Jazz tanking. If you have your playoff race teams tanking, it'd be pretty rough.
That's a good point. That'd be so funny if the prize became like, hey, if you're not a 4-seed or higher, you better get into the tournament of losers right away and win that sucker.
Well, but I suppose like you would run the risk of, what if you did get into that tournament and then you lost? What if you're an 8 seed?
You were a 4 seed and you just had everyone with like 20 games left, and then
What if you lost? What if you went to you're like, actually, we are going
for a great day on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, what if you did think your team was good and then you ended up with like the 20th pick in the draft or whatever? I don't know how that would work out, but like you ended up with like the 17th pick instead of what you thought was going to be like a top 5 pick because you got beat by the tanking Jazz in a 1-game series. I would put that 3. I'm going to blind rank.
Are we doing like TikTok filter ranking? Like,
this,
you got to pick
or I could just go through them and you can rank them however you want.
I like,
or we can just talk about them.
Well, Connor, should we operate as a single brain on this and do it together?
Sure.
That would be that's probably easier.
Let's do single brain
podcast.
Let's single brain
this. I like that you said like the TikTok filter. You just did the real life version of like seeing a pool table and going, they made 8-ball pool IRL.
Well, hey, to be fair, I don't think blind ranking was a thing before TikTok filter.
No, I think it's totally a TikTok thing.
Really?
Yeah, you can suck my dick.
You guys don't think blind ranking
from the back?
existed
actually, you know what? From the back, you can do it.
I don't know. I never saw blind ranking before TikTok.
Yeah, who's doing that?
Doesn't mean it doesn't exist,
dude. You were born in 2000 or whatever. Even though Matt's younger than you,
I was gonna say I'm older. Yeah.
How old are you guys?
I'm 20. I just turned 26. I was born in 2000.
I'm 28.
Okay.
I'm old, dude. I'm
Not in the grand scheme of things.
Not at all. I say that to relate to the sensibilities of you children.
You're almost 30, Unk. You're chopped.
I know.
Give it
up. I know. My lower back feels like it's 34, maybe 35. You know.
Yeah, you need.
I get hangovers now, and like my body, like old injuries from when I played, like come back and they haunt me, like the next day. Yeah.
Okay. Where are injuries? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. This is great. We can just interview me for the rest of the show.
Yeah, let's just talk to Nick about his glory days. Nick, when were you actually good at sports? Got the jersey up back there. What injury? What injury?
Jersey at the school that I averaged, I think 0.8 points for.
0.8 more than I averaged, brother.
I'm saying.
I tore my SI joint in my lower back, and that was a bitch.
What is that? Your SI joint?
Never even heard of an SI joint in my life.
I'm tearing joints. I'm tearing ligaments that y'all never heard of, dude.
I'm in cities you can't pronounce, tearing ligaments you never heard of.
That goes hard.
It does.
That sounds like a Rick Ross.
Lower back?
It's what connects your hip to your spine, essentially.
Oh.
So now when I play, if I don't wear like a giant Velcro, like stretchy chastity belt,
really,
that quite literally holds my hips together, I will just start like aching in the middle of the game, and then the next day is always hell.
Really?
And it's funny because it's my left side, but when I play, the right side starts to tighten up, and then the next day I can't like swing my right leg in front of my body.
I didn't know you had to like put a diaper on to play basketball. That's crazy.
Dude, I do.
Man.
I do. It's
that age. The old age is catching up to you.
Yeah, well, I'm like a Camry that has like 300,000 miles on it. Dude. Like it looks fine, and it's still running. Dude, the inside is a
internal
mess.
problems.
Yeah.
Dude, just don't look under the hood. Just
I always said when I played, like to my buddies, I was like, dude, I don't think I was ever meant to do this. Like, I don't think my body was built to do this. And I'm just
against
like
all odds.
Gary the Snail, like eyeballs blown out. You know, you can see the machinery pumping in the shell. It's rough, dude.
Incredible. Okay, where are we blind ranking this?
Okay, tournament of losers
3. Personally,
3. You think it's that? Like, are we ranking them based on how well we think they'd actually work?
How much you like them?
Oh, just how much we like them. Okay.
Yeah, we'll go how much you like them. If it wants to be like, I hate the NBA, I want to ruin the league, go for it and rank the bad ones. Let's just say how much you like them.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be torn to go towards the funniness factor.
Okay.
Should we? I don't mind 3. I think the tournament of losers is very funny, especially when you think about the like the idea of a good team being like, maybe we need to do this, and then it doesn't work anyways.
And then it doesn't work.
So I like 3. 3 is a good spot.
3. Okay, 3. We'll go 3. All right.
Cool.
Next up, no draft at all. So players enter free agency.
Who's big on this? What big personality says this a lot? I know I've heard it.
Oh shoot.
I think Florio says it about the NFL.
Yeah. I was watching the clip the other day. It was Tom Haverstroff, I think, or Strofe. I forget his name. I apologize, but I know who it was, and it's just slipping me. I'm sure you could go find it on Twitter.
No draft.
But there's a number of people who are pro no draft.
Really?
Yeah,
it's not totally uncommon. I'm a little skeptical of it for a number of reasons.
If the goal is to make bad teams get better, like because they were bad, small markets will just die. You'll never.
Yeah, like where would they go to get these players then? How do they find these guys? What's the idea of like how do you get a player?
The idea is that they just enter free agency, and naturally bad teams would have more. So like if you're bad, you could try to just outbid somebody for Cooper Flagg or Victor Wembanyama, but everybody would have a shot at him, which I think is kind of interesting. But like, I am kind of naturally worried that there's some places, either bigger markets or or like better weather cities, which I think is really important, that just have a natural advantage over somewhere like Charlotte, which is nice, but like not notable.
Milwaukee.
Or I really think like, would Toronto be screwed being out of country? Because I know a lot of players can't stand that. And would you have more people trying to subvert the cap? I mean, look at what happened to Toronto with Kawhi. Turns out some billionaire just hit him like, I'm just going to pay him more than is legally allowed, and I'm in LA and in the US, and that's where he wants to be, and so be it. Like, it's tough.
Yeah, I also just like, if I'm a young guy and my options are like, hey, the team that just won the championship is going to pay me $5 million less than my next best offer or whatever. Like, if I'm a rookie, like, I might as well just take a pay cut to go be good. Maybe, I don't know. A lot of guys probably take the money there, but that opens up just too many concerns for me, I think. The other bad teams that don't have a flexible cap, by the way.
The other thing, true. Like if you did that, the way the cap works completely changes. And I mean, obviously what there is to like about no draft is that the players get paid big time money right out of college if they deserve it, which I think is a good thing, like, in my opinion. But I wonder if the opportunity cost of being like above the salary cap is that, you know, the chance to sign Cooper Flagg or Victor Wembanyama or anybody in this draft class or whatever, you're going to see way more teams head into the offseason with way less guys under contract. Ultimately, I think the total amount of money that teams would spend relative to the salary cap would go down, because as it stands right now, I mean, like, you're just not signing that many guys out of free agency straight up. You can always pull off a sign and trade. You couldn't pull off a sign and trade with these guys, so you would just have to have the money. And because of that, I think teams not only would have more salary space going into off seasons, but they'd be a lot more nervous about signing guys to big long contracts potentially. So I worry about it in that sense too.
I hate it less now that we've talked through it. My initial thought was just like, yuck, I don't like that at all. I do like a little bit. I was just listening to Bill Simmons today, and they were going through a bunch of these options too. And one that they talked about was like, you just let the players pick where they want to go, essentially, which I think is more in line with this, like with the idea of like a free agency instead of a draft. There is something interesting about letting the players sort of have a little bit more like say in what happens in their career. I hate this less now that we've talked it through. I'm going to go 5. I'll put that like right down the middle person.
I don't hate that.
Where are you at? Are you good on 5? I don't want to be the guy calling all the shots here.
No, you're good. You're good.
Right.
I was going to say 6. So 5 to me, like, you know, that doesn't change much for me.
Let's go 6 because I didn't like it off the bat anyway. I'll go 6. Okay. I'll meet you there on there.
I do think it's like, oh, cool. Like, this is, you know, puts more power to the players. And you think about it, like, bad teams have more to offer than good. Like, how often is a team that won the championship going to have the space to go pay a generational rookie $40 million a year, you know? And like, probably not that often. But what I see the problem being is the bad teams, the teams that get bad after you see a cycle of like, okay, this team was good. Okay, now their guys are old. Now they got to, you know, repurpose, tank, or not tank, but be bad for a little bit. The teams like Miami is going to, like, who doesn't want to go get paid $50 million to go to Miami rather than Oklahoma City or Milwaukee or Toronto? That's the problem I see with that.
Yeah, it has some issues. The other issue, I forgot how I was going to say this, but the other issue just being like, I guess I kind of said this earlier, but like, bad teams sometimes just don't have flexible caps. And like you said, Matt, like, this idea would change the cap and like the landscape of the league entirely. But I feel like it would change in such a drastic way that there would be like a 5-year period where certain teams would have such a crazy advantage. We would have to let everybody know like 7 years in advance.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I do kind of like the idea. And I want to say this in terms of like, I like the idea of guys getting paid less, but sometimes you see these contracts where it's like, that guy didn't deserve that money. He didn't deserve 4 years, $30 million for what he is.
All right, dude, leave Luke Cornett alone. All right, it's uncalled for.
I do think there is some element of like, if the draft had more to do with like the salary cap and like where teams are at financially, the GM would become even more important than it is now, which is crazy because GMs are already massively important. And I think we would see a lot less like bad contracts. So I don't know. I don't hate it. We'll put it at 6. We got 3 and 6.
I like
so
6.
far.
All right. The next one up is flat lottery odds entirely. So if you're in the lottery, you have equal odds of getting the first overall, second, third, fourth.
Oh, I thought you meant just like across the league.
Just everybody.
That is insane.
No, I've
won the championship.
I've seen that suggested, but I think the good part of the draft is that it helps out the bad teams and promotes competitive balance. What if you had the draft, but it didn't promote competitive balance at all? Then it would be terrible, in my opinion. So I'm not a fan of flat odds across the entire league, most certainly.
But flat odds across the lottery.
I like I like flat odds across the lottery. I like I like that in theory. I'm trying to figure out. I feel like there is an issue here. I will say I do think, and maybe this is like a later point you bring up, I do think they need to just remove protections on picks. I think that would.
That's actually on the list. It's the last one. So if you want to rank that, if you want to rank that one too right now, why not go ahead? I will say about the flat odds, I do think it still puts you in the direction of like not rewarding the best teams with the top picks with the draft. Like we saw last year how, I mean, obviously the poor old Hornets deserved their pick, but you saw the San Antonio Spurs and you saw, the 76ers and the Mavs get the first overall pick. And there were some questions about whether maybe or not that should have been the team receive.
There's some murmurs. There's some murmurs of some foul play afoot.
Hey.
Oh, Mr. Mavericks fan over there.
Hey. What are you going to do? Come
on. The other concern would be like, is a 1 in 14 chance at the top pick or like a 4 in 14 chance at top 4, however the flattening works specifically, is that like enticing enough to say I'm the 9 seed in the play-ins? I'd rather do that than try to be the 8 seed and get blown out by OKC in the first round.
Similar thought to the tournament of losers.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's like if our odds are the same as everyone else's. Man,
I might flat odds 4 or 5. Where are you at on that? I don't think it's top 2.
I'm leaning 7, but I'm like, how are they going to get worse?
Right. That's where I'm at. I
we put no theory. Draft. I kind of like no draft really more than.
Yeah, I do too. No, I do too. And we put no draft at 6.
Yes, tournament of losers we have at 3.
I like tournament of losers at 3 still. It's just the most exciting. It's the most fun outcome.
Hey,
I don't think flat lottery odds
staying on top.
I don't think it deters anybody from tanking. I think people would still tank the same.
Yeah. You want to go 7?
Yeah, let's go 7. And then removing protections on first round. Was it removing them entirely, Matt? Is that the idea, or like only lottery protected?
You could do it. You could do it a lot of different ways. And I mean, there would be some issues where I think like certain protections allow you to be a little bit more specific about the type of pick that a team receives, which can be helpful. But specifically what it would remove is these mid-lottery protections that teams can very specifically, where it's like they're not in the playoffs, so they don't care about their seeding. And they very specifically have to get under like this certain line to make sure that they keep their pick. So like what the Jazz have right now at top 8 protected, but I think it would still keep like a lottery protection straight up. The idea being that a team would still fight to make the plans, or like a top 4 protection.
Yeah. I like top 4 protection, and swaps can maybe remain. I don't mind the idea of like a pick swap. Like hey, if we're just doing this trade and it's like whichever one of us has the better pick, I get that pick, but you still keep your first. I think that's just a useful tool in a lot of ways for trading. So I would say if that's the parameters, that they get like a little bit of protection, like top 4 protected and like maybe swaps. I like that a lot.
I actually said this after that Pacers trade with Zubats. I was like, dude, the only thing you should be able to do with a pick to modify it is just do a swap. Like, we'll take the best. Yeah. Like that kind of thing. Well,
we'll meet on top 4 protected, and swaps are allowed.
Yeah. So if we're ranking that.
Yeah. I put that.
I might put that around like 4.
I was going to say 4.
Because I don't think it does a ton, but it doesn't hurt a lot. I think it is an improvement overall, but
it
doesn't.
It doesn't fix everything like at all, but it's
a Band-Aid of some kind.
The Pacers trade is so interesting because that pick it's not just top 4 protected. It's also protected 10 through 30.
5 through 9. It's
I
only lands 5 through 9.
I made a video literally just making fun of pick protections because of that. I was just like, all right.
And
if this guy's mother's maiden name is Johnson, he's ours.
It turns into a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Matt?
So it's super funky how like the protection's one way for the Pacers and the other way it's for the Clippers. They're like, if it's that low, we don't want it anymore. And then it turns into a 2031 way far into the future.
We're saying 4 on that, Nick?
Yeah, I like 4.
Okay, so we got 3, 4.
It's not bad, but it's not great.
Yeah, we got 3, 4, and then 6, 7 out of the 8 so far.
Yes. Wait, so what was our 7 again? I'm writing them down, but I got distracted. Can't lie. There's one you did right before this.
Yeah, what was the last?
Even lottery odds for everyone.
Yeah, for through 1 through 14. Yeah.
So that was our 7.
Yeah.
And then no protections. I'll just write it that way 4. For the sake of good. 4. Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, what do we got next year?
The gold rule. Have you guys heard of this?
No.
Oh no, but it has gold in it. I'm very impressionable.
Or the gold
as a
plan
consumer.
or whatever. It's in a hockey league that does it. It's pretty simple though. You do not start accumulating lottery odds until you are eliminated from the playoffs. Once you're eliminated from the playoffs, you can get lottery odds or like increase your odds by winning. The idea being that teams that are eliminated and have nothing to play for still have something to play for because you have to win now to increase your chances rather than lose. But it doesn't mean that the winningest teams straight up just get the highest odds because you can only get the chance to increase your odds once you've been eliminated already. So you would hope the worst teams get eliminated a little bit earlier and get a little bit of a head start.
And winning, right? And so winning, once you have been eliminated, then your odds start increasing by winning.
It's interesting, and I like it in terms of like we have this like 2-month period after the All-Star break in the NBA where things are just kind of like slow and half the teams aren't trying, and it's like a weird thing before we get to like good playoff basketball. I do think it solves that problem in a nice way. But I just feel like if anything, it would just encourage teams to start the year by tanking as hard as possible and then start playing at the end. And then it's like, well, now what's this all for? And then it's like what you're going out here to try to beat like a team that's on the bubble that's trying. You got a 7 seed that's trying to stay afloat because they've had some injuries. And now you're going out there playing your best guys against them when back in, January you were rolling out like a bunch of second rounders. So it presents like just kind of a new way to tank, in my opinion.
But let's look at what it does help.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It does make it so like a team like the Spurs last year, the Mavericks, that I guess the Spurs were eliminated fairly quickly as well. But I'm just thinking like a team that just missed the playoffs, like just barely was, maybe got eliminated in the first round of the play-in or as the 11 seed. Like they're not going to have like, I think it depends on how you scale them, because I'm assuming this would mean that a team like the Mavericks has less odds than they had last year to get the number 1 overall pick, even though it was crazy. Like I do think if it was scaled that way, that is a plus. I don't know. I want to like this. I'm trying to talk myself into it on this.
I do too. I want to like it too. I think there's merit to it. Let's stick at 5. We don't have anything at 5 yet, right?
No, we don't.
I'll go 5 with that.
Yeah, because I don't know if I want to go 2. It's either 2 or 5.
Yeah.
I think it would make for a very exciting end of year, but even then I'm a little worried that like wins being what you need doesn't help out the worst teams necessarily. And I totally agree that in the NBA, most tanking teams know they're tanking before the season starts, and it would totally motivate teams to like kind of intentionally try to eliminate themselves quicker. Also, how does that work East versus West? if the West is tougher, then you get to be eliminated sooner if the records are better over there or something like that. It could be super frustrating. It probably wouldn't be like a huge difference because you're still getting down to the 10 seed, but there's plenty of times where it's like the back end in the East or whatever and the play-ins has
all
been
up for grabs,
really bad.
Yeah.
So you can be truly like the worst team, but it just takes you weeks longer to be able to start accumulating odds because nobody wants to get it together. You'd be ripping your hair out watching like Chicago or whatever. Not be able to put you away.
In terms of like ranking this and comparing it to other things, I think it provides a similar excitement to just the Tournament of Losers but doing it through the regular season. And I think it has more, I think it's less fun with a few more holes in it. So I think in my head, I think we put that behind Tournament of Losers at 5 and not in front of it at 2.
Okay. I'm just waiting to hear one that I'm like,
I know.
Yeah.
Actually, 1. Yeah, actually, that's 1.
As soon as we just have no immediate qualms with something, it's going to be 1.
Yeah.
We've got 3 left.
Let's hear it.
The next one I have is do nothing. So essentially just say tanking is a natural issue. This is like the number 1 suggestion. Maybe I'll say this one is like do nothing under the guise of like we're going to just punish Utah or whatever, or teams that try to do this and say, well, tanking is not that bad. We disagree with this, but
what can we make the punishment? Because I like the do nothing option, but it has number 1. Do nothing has 1-2 vibes to me. I can't lie right now.
Do nothing is I'm going to stick it at 1 or 2. Yes.
Imagine if there was a very funny punishment.
Yes.
If you did something like what the Jazz are doing now, and they're like, all right, come on. It's not just like a fine, whatever. It's like, hey, the owner has to walk out at the next game, has to run out with the starting lineup naked. Just like every bit of him.
You wouldn't see them pull Lauri Markkanen anymore, I'm sure.
I guarantee it, man. Just make it a really embarrassing punishment.
Yeah, I think
hog reveal for owners.
Yes.
Or chest reveal for female owners if you I think it's something equally as humiliating.
I think do nothing's got to be 1 or 2 because teams can get fined for blatantly tanking. It just doesn't stop them from doing it. And I do still think that right now the system is still in place where bad teams are made better through higher draft picks based off of their bad regular season performance. It's just the issue of like teams making their bad regular season performance as bad as possible through what feels like unethical play, unfair, unsportsmanlike play. So that's really the issue. And there is a way, I think, to make the punishment great enough that teams will lean more to being sportsmanlike. Maybe something with like the cap space and like not being able to go over a certain, maybe you can't go into a certain tax in the cap the next like year after like,
there needs to be future ramifications. It needs to hurt your ability to tank in the future or to get better if you get caught doing this.
Yeah.
Not to tank, but to get better.
But then it's like, what if a team really is just terrible? What if a team is trying their hardest and they really just fucking suck so bad?
The issue with the whole thing is that it's so subjective. Like we can sit here and say like the Jazz totally did it. But then if we sat here and made the punishment, like let's imagine just like the harshest punishment. Jazz can't win the lottery. They're not allowed to be top 4, right? That would certainly stop teams from doing it. But then it's like, would you ever be certain enough to be able to say, like, we're actually laying that hammer down? I think no, because most teams, and plenty of teams are doing this now, they're just like, well, our guy's injured. He's just injured and we're not going to play him. And it's like, you can be like,
a team would never do it quite as blatantly if the punishment was actually severe and wasn't just a fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like the idea of maybe like the lottery, the top 4 lottery odds actually go to teams, 13 through 11 or like, like the 11, 12, 13 seeds or like 12 and 13 get a better shot at the top 4 than the bottom 2, because maybe that would sort of provide like, okay, still bad teams getting the pick, but you can't just try to be the worst team possible. If you are the worst team possible, that sucks. Hopefully you land a good player at pick 6 or whatever. But maybe there's some amount of like, look, this team tried a little. They have something. They're the 12th seed. They have the some odds, and they land the third pick, and then the next year they're a lottery team, and they're like, well, I'm not going to tank again. But maybe that's just like, now I'm just going to tank light. Maybe that just sort of Band-Aid makes people tank light. I don't know. Do nothing. I think we should put it 2, because maybe there's just something really fun at 1 or 8 here. But
yeah, okay, let's rock.
I'll go 2. Let's go 2.
Do it. Let's go 2.
I like to leave the bottom of the top open for some nonsense. What do we got?
Okay, the next one up is no lottery at all. NFL rules. Oh. So if you're the worst team, you get the top pick. Second worst team, you get the second top pick, and
8.
So on.
8. Hate it.
Yeah,
I think that makes it worse. That would just make teams want to tank harder.
Yeah, I think it does the opposite.
I absolutely agree. Okay, and it is an insane the idea, because when I say it out loud, it's like that doesn't make any sense. The idea being that like, well, these teams are only tanking so long because they're not like winning the lottery. And like on some level, it's like, it's like, do we want to see the bad teams get the top picks? Like, yes. And maybe have like the Jazz tanked a little longer because they haven't like gotten that guy in a top pick. Like, sure. Yeah. But then the next assumption that I see a lot of people make with this is like, and teams are already tanking and it's not going to get worse than it is now. And it's like, I really disagree with that. I think if you didn't have a lottery in place in the NBA and there was a Victor Wembanyama available, teams would win 0 games. If there was a way to guarantee yourself that, I have no doubt in my mind you would see single-digit win teams consistently.
Oh, yeah, they would just pull up like, hey, this is the owner of the Washington Wizards. Hey, Capital City Go-Go, we need all your guys. We need every single one of them.
I think too, like maybe if there was a caveat on it that was like you can't land in the top 4 2 seasons in a row.
You know, that's another suggestion that I don't have on this list. I think that one is all right. Not winning the lottery multiple times is one that I could get behind.
I feel like the draft is such a crapshoot, man.
It really is.
There are teams that could just earnestly, like, you know, maybe they're not tanking like overtly, obviously, but they're just bad at drafting. And, you know, like it's hard to draft. Shoot, we took Jarrett Culver and then we took Josh Jackson, like just for sure, like hit guys that don't work out.
Yeah. Matt, were you going to say, did you have a,
oh, and like you could win the lottery in a year where it's like Ricochet, and then the next, you know, you don't have a chance the next year, and you'd be like, shoot, man, that would totally happen too. And then like, would it really make it like not the right strategy to tank? Like, I'm not sure. I don't know how much like it really does.
Yeah, I'm going to put that 8. I'm going to put that 8. There's no way that can be R1. I'm just going to gamble on whatever.
I like 8. I like 8 on that too.
Any better at all? Matt, give us
poor Ricochet. Ricochet's been getting some strays on this pod.
We've been using him as like the example of like shit traffic guy.
I mean, he's not. I don't know. Zachary Ricochet has Anthony Bennett potential. I'm going to throw that out there.
It's a tough break to get the one in that year for
shades of Anthony Bennett. Yeah,
shades of Anthony Bennett. All right, let's get this last one here because I know we gotta get you out of here, Matt, and I gotta head out in a second here too.
Lottery positions set early is the last one. This is the favorite of my buddy Carson Breber on Nerd Sesh. I don't know if you guys have ever watched him before, but the idea being that like if there's no lottery odds to be gained through like this March period is when it typically gets really bad. Then hopefully there wouldn't be nearly as much tanking, or at least you wouldn't be intentionally pulling guys. And I guess the other hope is like early in the season, teams still want to like see what they're going to be. And then maybe around like February 1st, you say, okay, this is the cutoff. And from then on, you don't see teams who are like so far out of everything have to just be like, well, now we need to lose.
The idea being like a team that's like not very good that could have tanked really hard in the back half of the year if they just knew midway through the season we're not going to get a lottery, like a top 3 pick. If they were to just be like, all right, well, I guess then we should go try to get into the play-in. Let's do what we can. I actually don't hate this.
It feels
one
like, sorry, go ahead.
Like the blind ranking is bad is what I was going to say. Like,
yeah, it's not bad.
I'm actually kind of liking this.
I would put the odds increase for winning games after elimination over this one, if I could.
Okay.
I would do a crossover of just like, hey, your odds don't increase after you're eliminated. We just pick a day where, like, from that point on, all of the lottery teams, you got to win games. So it's not after elimination. Like, I kind of like a combination of those two. It kind of takes out the thought of like, oh, well, if you get eliminated early, or like, you're in the East or the West.
Yeah.
It takes out that question. But I don't know. I just feel like if it is the way that you said it was, then it does just kind of like push things earlier into the season that teams are just blatantly pulling guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is interesting if it does make the tanking happen earlier. But I suppose it's like if the tanking is going to happen either way.
I think it totally would.
But yeah,
I think it's the same issue. You wouldn't necessarily have a team like down the stretch, maybe like, really, really, really go for it or whatever. But I think, again, most teams know they're tanking, who they are by February 1st or whatever. Or not by February 1st, by the start of the year.
Right. I like some mix of the last half of the regular season for teams that are already in the lottery. It's been decided, and then the last half is the more games you win, the better your odds get. Like, let's say we push the trade deadline. 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Push the trade deadline a little bit, maybe, and then make the lottery happen. The lottery selection happens before the deadline. This is like super chaotic and like out there. But lottery decision, or at least here are the teams that are in the lottery, maybe even decrease the lottery number to like 10 as opposed to
right, because then you'd have some weird bleed where you could like be in the lottery and then make the playoffs still.
Right. So maybe decrease the lottery number to like 8 to 10 players is like considered lottery, right?
Mm-hmm.
You announce that sometime in February, mid to late February or whatever, and then the trade deadline happens around All-Star break or something. And that way it's like this way teams already know if they're going to be in lottery or not or whatever. Teams could then make moves like, okay, we're outside the lottery. We might as well just go try to push from the 10 seed to the 11 seed to the play-in or whatever. Make some trades and push to win later in the season. And then also adding the caveat of any team in the lottery, the more wins you get increases your odds of the higher pick in the last half. That does sort of at least feel like it fixes the problem of like of All-Star break to playoffs being very boring. The new problem it presents is teams just tanking to start the year, like you said, like teams go into the year knowing they're going to tank. So like now do teams just tank super early? I don't know. But
I love every single one of these solutions is like it's really just tanking with extra steps now, or we're just changing when it happens.
It would be super weird because like you would totally see teams like, okay, you get to the point and you're one of the bottom 8 teams or whatever. Mm-hmm. You would go make win now moves in certain seasons if you felt like you could really make a play. But then here's the thing. If you make those win now moves for like that certain, like, Cooper Flag or whatever, and you go for it and you don't get it, now you've got all these win now players on your team and you're probably not going to be bottom 8 again.
That's very funny. That's really, and then you've skyrocketed yourself back into mediocrity to where now you're not good enough to be a competitor. But then it's like,
at least that makes at least the team got better in
roll
some
the dice.
Like,
roll the dice, baby.
I think it'd be fun.
I like this. Too. I think we've solved tanking here. I think this is the answer.
I still think we need to find a way to get the owners naked. Like naked relay race from the entire ownership group. And then that's how you increase your odds, is your place.
We got to get you in touch with Adam Silver.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, he'll get in touch with
they're
Adam
not naked.
Silver, all right.
We'll keep it PG. They wear Skims. Just win-win.
Oh, there we
wins.
go. It's a sponsor.
Just get them in some bodysuits, some really tight bodysuits.
Yeah, incredible. Hey, Matt, Mr. Sponhour, awesome sports name, Matt. Thank you so much for coming on, man. This was a blast. I hope you know that anytime.
We got a full Spawn hour and a half from you.
We did. We got a Spawn hour and a half.
Yeah, I'm sure you never heard anything like that.
Not in my life, man.
Didn't think so.
Right. Did you guys like how I just repeated Nick's joke louder than he did too? Did you like?
Wait, did you?
In fact, I only thought it was funny when you said it loud.
Thank you.
Story of my life. Connor's a stand-up comedian or whatever. His delivery. Dude, I like tell Connor a joke that I think is good, and he's just like, "You could work on that delivery. It could be way funnier." So.
All right. All right. Hey, Matt, you're welcome back anytime, man. This was a blast. You're a legend.
It's fun. Hey, thanks for bringing a fun activity for us to do on the show where we were supposed to like interview you and have things planned.
Yeah, thanks for making our podcast more interesting for us.
That was really good.
No, I was glad to because I had it. I'm like, I really want to go around asking people this, honestly.
Yeah.
So
Can
I
we
was
really,
like, this is
really
perfect.
quick? Do you have a ranking in mind, just super fast to cap off the show here? Do you have them in your own order?
Well, here's the thing. I was deleting them off of my computer.
Yeah, I asked you
as I was going through it. Dude, I don't know. I think
top
the
three,
gold. Okay, top 3. I would say do nothing, set position early, and the gold rule are probably up there for me.
I think I'd be in line on that, honestly. The most
I might put Tournament of Losers.
Tournament of Losers is the most funny and exciting, but those 3 feel like the most like some combination of that. It feels like the right thing.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, hey, good stuff today, fellas. Great pod, Matt. I'm sure we'll talk soon. Welcome back anytime,
Absolutely.
man. Thanks for coming on. Guys, remember to please go follow Matt at Sponhour on TikTok. Go check out Stay Hot Pod. That's a fantastic podcast with Matt and Theo and Bladen. I'm a frequent listener, big fan of that show.
He's a fan.
Please go check it out. He's a fan and a follower. I'm not an appreciator. I'm a fan and a follower of that show, not just an appreciator. And that's from earlier. I don't think we said that joke on pod, so that's not.
Did we not? Did we say that? Oh shoot! I
think that was before we started. I don't remember. Anyway.
Whatever.
Good stuff, man. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please go check out Matt. Go check out Stay Hot, and have a good rest of your evening or whenever you watch this, day, morning, whatever. Who gives a shit? Love you all. Okay.